What up, my name is Dave One.
And I'm P from Chromeo.
And this is SoundAdvice.
You guys have been doing this for nearly 2 decades. Can you talk to me a little bit about what the key to success for such a long career is?
Key to success for a long career is just passion. You have to be passionate about what you do, or else you won't survive.
Also, like defining success and like setting expectations and setting your own expectations that are like right sized for you, because there's a million kinds of success. For us, success means longevity. The fact that we could do whatever we want, make no concessions, be crazy, outlandish, and true to ourselves. If success for us would be like, oh, we got to reach X amount of millions of streams every time, we'd be frustrated. But you find the pocket where you find success and satisfaction, and you just aim for that, strive for that.
Success, yeah. It's fulfilling your passion about success.
Yeah.
What does the evolution of your music look like from when you started to where it is now, and has technology played a part in that?
I think the absence of technology played a big part in what we do, because we use old equipment. We use like 70s and 80s synthesizers and drum machines, and we're very reticent to jump on plugins and stuff like this. So
We use a few key ones.
But I guess the limitation of the technology that we use is probably what's been consistent throughout our whole career. And then we just switch our mindset around it, figure out new stuff to reference, new stuff to try out, go a little more pop, go a little more polished, go a little, less polished, depending on...
Every album we make is like, we react to the last one we did, because we just put out our 6th album. So obviously, if you compare album number 1 to album number 6, like I hope, the vocals are better, the production is better, it's more mature, it's more elegant. But every album in our career is a piece of a puzzle. And we always had that guiding principle of like electro funk and like that kind of 80s flavor, and like P said, the vintage gear. And every album we try to like expose a new facet to it. But it's really all a body of work.
Let's talk about album number 6, your last and latest album. What was that creative process like? Where does your creative process usually start?
I guess it starts in many different ways, but we start off the album with a mandate.
Like, what are we going to do this time?
Yeah. On the last album, we went really pop. We started writing with a lot of people. Every song has 5+ credits for writers, and
that was the intention.
And that was the intention. So this time around, we were like, all right, we've done that. What's the mandate for this record? Is go back to just me and Dave in the same mindset that we started the band.
But then we didn't want it to be like, a return to form. Mm-hmm. So we were like, okay, how are we going to bring this to another level? So we were like, okay, let's make almost like a concept album about adulthood and maturity and, kind of navigating those kind of mature relationships. And also, we knew production-wise that we wanted to bring new things to the table, so we mixed it all up.
Really cool. In your career, what would you say is the most valuable lesson you both learned?
Keep your head down, work hard. But we knew that from the jump.
Business is as important as art.
Yeah.
That's the most valuable lesson.
Yeah,
when you start off, you're kind of like in the mode where like, I'm an artist, I want to make music, I don't want to think about all the other tough things in life. And at some point, if you want your career to last, you have to think about your business, you have to think about paying rent, how do you sustain an artistic career your whole life? That's the lesson.
As you grow older, like you're not a kid anymore. Like you could understand how the management side works, how the tour side works, how the accounting side works. We always felt like we're adults, Like, of course, if you're like a 21-year-old indie kid, that have fun and be a 21-year-old indie kid, which is amazing. But like, we're in our 40s, you know what I'm saying? So like, our thing was just like, you're adults, this is a job. You have the fun, creative, crazy part, where you get to tap in with maybe like an inner child or whatever it is. But then like the other side is like real adulthood. P does Excel sheets. I write all our bios myself. I write all the press releases. I write the marketing plan. I write the press goals. Like I do everything. P does everything when we're on the road, and that's part of being an adult. And it feels more fulfilling that way. obviously some bands like are so huge and they do such big numbers, they don't have to worry about that. But we kind of feel a certain sense of pride.
It comes back to the first question. It's about your expectations.
We have a sense of pride in kind of being hands-on on everything. You know,
We're a small business.
you're a small business.
What advice do you have for maybe like up and coming or just even creators in general who are struggling to monetize their work?
Struggling to monetize, that's hard. Like, because the business is in a weird place, the economy's in a weird place. So like, I find that a lot of tips that we see in the media about like certain CEOs of like certain streaming companies, I don't really want to, but like I find them very harsh and I find them very insensitive. So I think like, somebody from a record label might say like, oh, well, you got to do more TikTok and you got to focus more on content and short form content. But those are fads, follow your heart, develop your own sound, stick to it, get better at what you do. And then like, hopefully, hustle and hopefully somebody will notice. And if that doesn't work, you start another project. Like you always have an impulse to create. But like the idea that like it's really hard to monetize. Actually, you know what my advice would be is like, take it from a band who's doing it for 20 years and who's gone through all kinds of different fads and different levels of the music business, and take it from us. It's hard for us too. It's hard for everybody, and it's a fight for everybody. And it's not because you just came up that it's harder for you. Everybody's struggling. Everybody's pushing as hard as we can, and we just got to support each other. I think that's really the advice. The advice is like, work the hardest you can, hone your craft, but like.
Yeah, but back to the first question, if there's no passion, then you shouldn't be in there waiting and trying to rack your brain on how to monetize stuff. The monetization comes from within.
Yeah.
If you love what you're doing, it's going to come at some point.
If you're just thinking about money,
stay in your lane, stay focused.
If you're just thinking about money and corporate deals, just be an influencer. And there's no shade in that. But like, if you're trying to do art, like that's really the goal.
That takes the priority. Yeah.
Also, I think like find mentors and try to get advice from mentors, and just hopefully there's other people that will mentor. I mean, we started our own record label to mentor younger artists and to kind of share our resources and our knowledge with them. Because nobody did that to us when we started, So we started an independent label during the pandemic where we give really artist-friendly deals and we try to uplift other artists. But like, it's hard. Like, no one's got budgets, and that's just what it is. You work hard enough and you're crafty enough and you find what works for you. If you're gonna be like more of a viral streaming act, then go that direction. If you're gonna be a live act that just grinds on the road, go that direction. There's many different avenues, but it is hard for everybody. That's just, there's no hiding that fact.
I want to talk about something you mentioned earlier when we were talking. You mentioned you were from Lebanon, that you guys both met in Montreal. How has your background and your experiences influenced your artistic style?
What really brought us together is the discovery of music. If anything, the lack of funk in our life is what brought us together. I grew up in a family, we only had Arabic music and French music. I moved to North America and then I discovered rap music and then funk music.
My parents were into like baby boomer rock and stuff. We didn't really have funk in the house. But
so for us to discover a new style of music when we're teenagers in high school, and we were like, wow, we've never experienced this firsthand, we've never discovered this. And the discovery of this, the studying of it, the craft of how do you make this, how do you use funk music in your references, how do you make it modern, this is our whole life's work. So.
Well said. We never really thought about our backgrounds growing up because like, lucky for us, we grew up before like the trend of like identity politics and all that stuff, which kind of I think is corny anyway. Like music brings people together. Not everybody has to agree on everything. In fact, I always say this, a world where everybody agrees on everything, there's a name for that, it's called fascism. You're supposed to have different views, you're supposed to have different perspectives, but music brings people together and I think fosters a kind of respect and a kind of communal feeling of unity in that moment. We see that every time we play a show. And like, that happened with us. We're living proof that works, that music can bring people together and just created. We've been doing this since we were 15 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, backgrounds are cool or whatever, but like, there's art and music. It transcends all that. It really transcends everything. You know.